Hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm going to talk to you about an experience that I had as a nurse, as a licensed practical nurse at a long-term care facility. So I've changed all the names, but we're going to call the patient Jane. We have daughter 1, daughter 2, and son number 1. And my director of nursing, we've named her Andrea. So the nature of my experience is that I worked in the long-term care facility. I had been a nurse for probably a year and a half by then, almost 2 years. But I had only worked as a nurse for like 6 months. So I was still pretty fresh. It's not super fast-paced in long-term care. So it's not something super stressful. It's usually the same patient. You get patients, you get to know them, you care for them physically, emotionally, spiritually, any way that you can. Not to mention, as a nurse, you're doing treatments, passing meds, all the above. So my patient Jane, sweet little old lady, she was diagnosed, I don't know how we did not catch it before, but she was diagnosed with end-stage liver cancer, just through routine blood work that we had done, and noticing, a little bit of jaundice. Sometimes the elderly, they're kind of discolored anyway. But the family did not want to tell her. This was a huge ethical issue for me because I physically cared for this woman. I had given this woman a bath. I emotionally had cared for her when something had upset her, she was feeling down. Spiritually, I was raised Catholic, so I talked about God with her when she asked. Read her, she couldn't read she could read, but she couldn't see very well, so she would want to read a certain passage from the Bible, and so I would read that for her. I became close with this patient. You do when you're there 5 days a week, for 8+ hours a day. And, you know everything about them that there is. Their history, what kind of coffee they like, 2 sugars, 2 cream. I still remember that. The other part of the diagnoses was that she also had the beginning stages of dementia, enough to the point where she could not live alone. She couldn't pay her own bills, could not cook for herself, would not shower, she couldn't remember. So we were taking care of her, and she had been with us for a little while, but it had started to, become more of an issue. And there's nothing I could do. There's nothing we could do about the cancer diagnosis. It was end stage. It was going to be the end all. And we could manage the symptoms and until it was time for hospice, which is end of life care. For practical and clinical features, the nurses are patients' protectors. We are their biggest protectors. We protect their rights, we protect their privacy, and we are the biggest advocators for them. I'm a big believer in patient advocacy, especially in long-term care when some of these people have families, but they don't visit them. They pretty much just drop them off and say bye. So they have no one else to look out for them. And so I think that's super important for us to do that. Not to mention you start caring for the people you take care of and you see every day. So back to my ethical dilemma. Daughter number 1 of Jane was the oldest, and she was the POA, power of attorney, meaning she made all health decisions, she made financial decisions. It was decided that a long time ago, before she had dementia, before anything. The son and daughter number 2 initially did not want to make any decisions. They felt like, whoa, it's a little too much for me. One of them, the daughter number 2, was from out of town, so it didn't really make much sense for her, and the son was busy with, his own stuff, and unfortunately that happens a lot. So, but with the daughter number 1 making the decision of not wanting to tell Jane, the mother, about her cancer diagnosis, the daughter number 2 and son were unhappy about that. I can understand that. because my personal code of ethics and morals can't come into play here. But if that was my family, I would be very upset as well. But I don't get a say. I have no say. I just am told what to do as a nurse. So the ethical principles with autonomy, lacking complete autonomy. She did not, by not knowing, she can't make a single decision for herself. She doesn't know, she can't decide if she wants to receive any treatment, if she wants to forego treatment, if she just, nothing. There's no autonomy in this situation, and that is really hard for me. I mean, even coming down to their outfits. Do you want to wear this shirt or this shirt? You know, what color are you feeling today? And make sure their pants match as well, you know. And so that was a huge issue for me with beneficence. Doing good. Am I? Am I doing good? Am I doing the best for my patient that I can? I understand why daughter number one would not want to tell her mother. I understand both sides because of the emotional toll with the dementia. With the dementia, she may not remember. So every time it's brought up, it could be a whole new devastation. You know, everyone's dementia is different. You don't know what she'll remember. You don't know what part of her memory she'll have from day to day. With non-maleficence, to do no harm, lying about medications that I'm giving to her, I'm not okay with. I give, for end-stage liver patients, we give a small little sweet drink called lactulose. What that does is through your bowels, it makes you eliminate any ammonia levels or any ammonia that you have that your liver cannot detoxify, because your liver cannot detoxify your body when it has cancer. It doesn't work. So the higher the ammonia levels, the more mental confusion, the more lethargy, the more out of it they are. So this little drink helps flush that out through the bowels. Unfortunately, it does give them terrible diarrhea, but that's kind of the point. It's supposed to flush everything out. But when I have to tell her, oh, this drink helps make you go to the bathroom. It does, but oh, why? Why do I need it? That's a problem, because I don't want to lie to her. I don't want to lie to a patient that I care for, that I, you know, that's just not me. That's not how I roll. It's not how I am. Or these huge horse pills that I have to give her. They're not proteins, I'm sorry. They were enzymes to help, because her pancreas, I'm sure it had spread, so her pancreas was not making enzymes to help break down food. So asking me what they were, what am I supposed to say? Hey, I can't tell you what they're for, but go ahead and take it. That doesn't make sense. And justice, what's due or owed to her, what's fair. None of this was fair at all. It wasn't fair to Jane. It wasn't fair to me to have to be put in the middle, because, you know, lying to my patient, whereas being what family wants it to be, I can't change that. So justice was not, it did not prevail. It was not served. It was not given. She eventually passed away, still not knowing she had cancer. But the outcomes, within a matter of weeks, her health deteriorated. She was that sick. And by that time, I had built a good rapport with the two daughters and the son, especially daughter number 2 and the son, who asked my opinion on things, and you can't give your opinion. They asked me if I thought it was time for hospice, and without swaying them either way, I told them their options. They did decide to go with hospice being comfort care packages with Ativan to help slow down breathing, morphine to make sure she's not in any pain, Tylenol if she spikes a fever, all of these things, special extra care for her, which is what I wanted, but I can't tell them. In the consultation, I definitely consulted my director of nursing, Andrea, as we call her. She reminded me that as frustrating as it is, we cannot make decisions for a family, and even if we know as a healthcare provider what the right one is, we cannot do that. And I assured her that I did not in any way sway them. I told her exactly what I told them, their options. We can, even if they choose not to do hospice, we can just make her just as comfortable here without, at the long-term care facility without hospice, which they knew. I give 100% for my patients, and I'm not bragging. That's just kind of who I am. And even though it was somewhat helpful, it was super frustrating to hear again what I already knew. I knew I couldn't make that decision. So the policies influencing the outcome, the power of attorney was a big player here. That's a policy, or part of that was probably the most important part. The power of attorney was the only thing stopping. There's the only ethical issue because she did not want her mother to know. So that would have made a huge difference, and there would have not been any ethical dilemma. And then HIPAA, the health, protecting the patient's privacy, was huge as well, because there were countless family members who wanted to call and get a health update, whereas they had gotten information from the daughters but wanted to just call directly and get information from us. We have a specific list of under a patient's profile where you have the power of attorney, responsible party, anybody who was emergency contact, allowed to know anything. If you're not on that list, I cannot give you information unless the power of attorney is standing there telling me it's okay. That was a huge problem because family members were angry with me that I would not give them information, but I will not violate HIPAA because you're mad at me. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. So 6.5 weeks after her initial diagnosis of the end-stage liver cancer, she passed away peacefully with the help of hospice. She was comfortable. She was on morphine. She did not appear to be in pain. Her breathing was not labored. So that's with her family by her side. That's really all you can ask for, to be at peace, to be comfortable, have your family there, not be alone. Even if the family had not been there, my facility was fantastic about making sure that a patient or someone that we knew was coming to the end was not going to be alone. And that's another thing I really liked about that facility. So the effect on me, I still think about the patient and the situation today, especially in ethics in this course in this last 16 weeks. And I've kind of tried to learn to not get as involved and not care. And it's bad to say that you don't want to care too much about a patient. But the death of Jane was very hard. I had built a great rapport. When she needed help, I would hear her calling out, Hannah, Hannah, Hannah. And as kind of taxing as it was and tiring, I was always there for her. Even to the end when she, when we were cleaning her deceased body, I was still there for her. And changing as a professional, I was still new at nursing, so it helped me to learn as a nurse, since it was the first situation I had been in like that I had struggled with ethically. It kind of helped me put things in place and remember my place. I never stepped out, but it helped me kind of just keep myself in check. And skills that changed or improved, if anything has come up, I would know how to handle it in another similar situation. I haven't really had quite a similar situation, There have, of course, always been ethical situations that arise in healthcare. And how will I influence policy or innovations as a result of my experience? The policies are in place for a reason. I know that. I may not like it, but I do have to abide by policies. I don't really know how I would change them because I'm not above policies and the law and HIPAA, and I'm certainly not above ethics by any means, but I'm really not sure how I would change anything. I wouldn't change how I acted. I wouldn't change that I cared. I wouldn't change, of course, my opinion never changed, but I was never allowed to disclose that. But I really hope you enjoyed listening to my experience. And I really enjoyed writing this out and discussing it. So thank you so much.